Now, I'm no skateboarder, but that doesn't stop Skate 3 from being one of my favorite games. When it comes to pure entertainment value, something I'll pop in when I'm just looking for nothing else but a fun time, this is the game I'll immediately gravitate towards. It's a blast whether you're playing legitimately or just messing about. Now, I imagine like a lot of people, I first heard about this game via numerous YouTubers playing it on their channels.
Whoa! Oh! That was actually pretty badass.
That's what got me to check it out without any prior knowledge to the rest of the series. But now, with a fourth game currently in the pipeline, I thought it might be fun to check out the original Skate game and see how well it holds up compared to the entry I'm most familiar with. So, let's take a look. For some bizarre reason, these games always start off with a random live-action cutscene. This one sees a skateboarder get hit by a truck, so some people who I'm guessing are famous in the skating industry drive him to the hospital in a way that would get any professional ambulance driver fired instantly. From there, surgery, aka the character creator. I always like to customize a character in these kinds of games, although I will say the way the clothes are listed is not particularly helpful, particularly as most of them are locked. Anyway, once the surgery is complete, you get straight back into skateboarding just like any reasonable person who's just been hospitalized by a skateboarding accident would do. You complete different mission types as you gradually aim to get sponsors, appear in magazines, and become a renowned name in the industry. The big gimmick of the game when it first released was using the right stick instead of buttons to perform tricks on your skateboard. Simply tilt the right stick down and quickly flick it back up in any direction to pull off an ollie, kickflip, and other skateboarding stunts. It does work very well, although it can be a bit finicky when the game needs you to pull off a specific move. It's too small a control stick to properly cater to the marginal differences these tricks have from one another. Now, I will concede this is also an issue in Skate 3, but there's a couple of major differences between these two games which makes this first entry much more awkward to control. Let's start with the immediately obvious one, the camera. Instead of facing directly behind the player, it looks up at you from the ground. While you can somewhat adapt, it is disorientating at first, and most importantly, it's just not ideal when it comes to judging the timing of jumps. There's these no skate zones dotted around the map, and if one of the guards of those areas sees you, they'll chase you and the camera will zoom out and give a much better viewpoint. So it's not like there was some technical issue at the time, EA just went with this inconvenient angle for most of the gameplay, and you can't change it in the menu. The other big thing I struggled with in comparison to its follow-ups is the inability to get off your board. Skate 3 is known to be a bit of a mess-around sandbox game where you could get plenty of fun out of it without actually skateboarding. But this first game was still trying to take itself seriously as a legit sports title, and thus you're permanently stuck to your board. But having the option to go on foot at the press of a button in later installments made it easier to position yourself for pulling off tricks. When you're stuck to your board, simple things like getting off the road to a pavement becomes a needless challenge, and performing simple tricks with the inability to get off your board in combination with the awkward camera angle, it can all feel quite clunky. Not to mention the issue of going upstairs. Okay, the mechanics aren't perfect, but how well are they utilized in the career mode activities? All of the missions take place in the small open world of San Vanilona. It's a good little map with interesting visual variety and plenty of nice spots to ride and perform stunts on. Dotted throughout the map are the missions you'll need to partake in to become a skateboarding icon. Most of them are pretty standard affair, pose for a photo, do tricks for a video, race other skaters, but there is the skate mode, which is basically horse but with skateboards. You or the AI perform a trick and the other has to try to repeat it. Seems simple enough, but the problem with this mode is you're not up against a real person, and so really you just have to get lucky if the AI cocks up. This also means that a single game of this can go on forever, so it gets pretty dull having to wait around. Slightly better is Jam, where you compete against other skaters to perform lots of tricks and get the most points at the end. It's just a matter of flicking the stick enough times, but it's mildly enjoyable. And that's kind of it for the base game. There are times when it's okay fun, but nowadays it does struggle under the shadow of its sequels. I haven't played 2 yet, I did get it but the disc was faulty, but going off the 3rd game, not only does it have so much more to offer, its core gameplay feels so much more polished than it does here. That's to be expected of course, but the point is it's very hard to view the original in isolation. The groundwork is there, meaning I got some fleeting moments of entertainment out of it, but not enough to actually recommend buying it. I can't call it a good game, but it was somewhat interesting to see where the seeds for one of my favourite games were sown. But it hasn't really stood the test of time where many other first entries have and can be enjoyed on their own terms. It served its purpose, but now there's little reason to bother with it unless you're a real enthusiast for this franchise.